In 2024, a horror movie with a $2 million budget made $76.3 million worldwide, a 38 times return that made it the highest grossing unrated film in history. But the money isn't the disturbing part. The disturbing part is why it made that money. Audiences paid premium prices to watch extreme violence so brutal that 11 people walked out of a single UK screening, multiple viewers required medical attention, and theatre staff had to add extra cleaning crews because people were vomiting in the aisles. The more people reported physical illness, the more tickets it sold. I'm about to tell you 30 disturbing facts about the Terrifier trilogy that prove Art the Clown isn't just a movie villain, he's a cultural phenomenon that reveals something dark about what we crave as entertainment. Before we dive into these 30 disturbing facts, I need to give you a serious content warning. I know, super boring, but I'll get to the good stuff soon. This video discusses the Terrifier franchise, which features some of the most extreme horror content ever put to film. We'll be talking about graphic violence, brutal gore effects, disturbing practical effect techniques, and real audience reactions, including people getting physically sick and walking out of theatres. Some facts involve discussion of violence against children and other extremely disturbing themes. I won't be showing graphic clips of the films, so I'm staying within YouTube's community guidelines, but the descriptions alone are intense. This is not for children or anyone sensitive to extreme horror discussions. You have been warned, let's get into it. Fact number 1. David Howard Thornton's audition was silent. David Howard Thornton got the role of Art the Clown through one of the most unusual auditions in horror history. He showed up and performed completely silent. No dialogue, just physical comedy and menacing expressions. He mimed wrapping a present, then revealed it was a severed head. Damien Leone was so impressed by Thornton's ability to be simultaneously funny and terrifying without speaking a single word that he cast him immediately. Thornton's background in physical theatre and mime work made him perfect for a character who never speaks but conveys everything through exaggerated gestures and dead-eyed stares. 2. Art was originally played by a different actor. Art the Clown was originally played by Mike Gianelli in Damien Leone's 2008 short film The Ninth Circle and the 2011 Terrifier short. When Leone expanded to feature films in 2016, he needed someone who could carry a full-length movie with pure physicality. That's when David Howard Thornton took over the role and transformed Art from a short film character into a horror icon. Gianelli's version was more straightforward / a villain. Thornton added the disturbing mime-like comedy that makes Art so unsettling. 3. Damien Leone was named after The Omen. Director Damien Leone was born January 29, 1982, and his mother, a hardcore horror fan, literally named him after Damien from The Omen. Growing up with a name associated with the Antichrist shaped his entire career path. Leone became obsessed with practical horror effects as a teenager and started making short films in his early 20s. He created Art the Clown when he was just 24 years old, and the character has now become one of the most recognizable horror villains of the 2020s. 4. The 3-hour daily makeup transformation. David Howard Thornton spends approximately 3 hours in the makeup chair before every single day of filming. The makeup is designed to allow full facial movement and expression while maintaining that stark black and white aesthetic. Leone specifically wanted Art to look like a vintage photograph come to life, unsettling through simplicity rather than elaborate design like Pennywise. The makeup has to withstand hours of filming while being covered in blood, and it needs to stay consistent across multiple shooting days so scenes can be edited together seamlessly. 5. Art's costume has specific historical inspiration. Art's black and white clown costume is directly inspired by Pierrot, a classic French pantomime character from the 1800s known for sad, melancholic performances. Leone wanted Art to feel timeless and unsettling rather than modern and colourful. The costume's simplicity makes Art feel like he could exist in any time period, which adds to his supernatural quality. Unlike modern clowns with bright colours and patterns, Art's stark monochrome design makes him look like a corrupted version of vintage entertainment. 6. All Hallows Eve was the bridge film. Before the Terrifier feature films, Damien Leone made All Hallows Eve in 2013, an anthology film that incorporated his earlier Art the Clown short films. This anthology used a framing story to connect the shorts and establish Art as a recurring supernatural villain, rather than just a one-off slasher. All Hallows Eve gained a cult following through VOD and festival screenings, which proved there was an audience demand for a full Art the Clown feature film. Without All Hallows Eve's success, Terrifier 1 would never have gotten made. 7. Terrifier 1's micro-budget origins. Terrifier 1 was made for approximately $35,000 to $55,000. Literally, a micro-budget indie film shot in condemned buildings with volunteer crew members. Leon maxed out credit cards and called in favors to get that film made. It was shot in 2016 with minimal equipment and released through small distribution. The film made modest returns through VOD and festival screenings, but it built a passionate cult following that would change everything for the franchise. This project obviously meant a lot to him as a big horror fan from being a child, and it's very admirable that he went all out to get this created. The whole horror industry has a lot of thanks to give, as from what I've seen the past year or two, people love Art the Clown, especially at places like Halloween Horror Nights in Universal Studios. 8. The Indiegogo campaign that changed everything. Terrifier 2 was funded through an Indiegogo crowdfunding campaign that raised approximately $250,000. Leon went directly to fans and promised them the most extreme horror sequel ever made if they backed the project. The campaign succeeded because Terrifier 1 had built such a devoted fanbase who wanted more Art the Clown content. This crowdfunding success proved that there was a hungry audience for unrated, extreme horror that mainstream studios wouldn't touch. The fans literally funded the film that would break box office records. Yeah, bunch of sickos. 9. Terrifier 2's unprecedented 63 times return. Terrifier 2 grossed approximately $15.7 million worldwide against its $250,000 budget. That's a 63 times return on investment. This success was completely unprecedented for a crowdfunded horror sequel with zero studio backing. The film played in limited theaters initially, then expanded as a word of mouth spread about how extreme it was. Terrifier 2's success proved that Art the Clown had become a legitimate horror franchise that could compete with studio productions, despite being completely independent. 10. Terrifier 3's record-breaking opening. Terrifier 3 opened on October 11th, 2024 and earned $18.3 million in its opening weekend. Debuting at number 2 at the domestic box office, it was only beaten by Joker 2, which had a $200 million budget and massive studio marketing. Think about that. A $2 million unrated indie horror film came within the striking distance of a major DC Comics sequel.
Wow.
The film played in 2,514 theaters nationwide, which is impressive for an unrated film, since many chains initially refused to show it due to content concerns. 11. Brutal Santa death. In Terrifier 3's opening scene, Art the Clown encounters a drunk mall Santa at a bar who spits a drink in his face and urinates on his leg. Art retaliates by shooting the bartender, then he ties Santa to a chair and uses liquid nitrogen to freeze his legs and shatters them before moving to his face, while Santa is still conscious and screaming. Art freezes his entire face with liquid nitrogen, then smashes it to pieces with a hammer. Art then rips off Santa's frozen beard and wears it as a trophy for the rest of the film. This sequence alone caused 9 out of 11 total walkouts during the UK premiere, with at least one audience member vomiting, making it the most graphic kill in the entire Terrifier franchise. 12. The streaming domination. After its theatrical run, Terrifier 3 immediately hit number 1 on Apple TV's movie charts, and maintained top positions across multiple streaming platforms. The film's digital release continued its box office momentum, proving that audiences wanted to own the film and rewatch it at home. This streaming success is unusual for extreme horror, which typically has limited rewatchability due to its graphic content. 13. The UK premiere walkouts. At the UK gala premiere screening of Terrifier 3, 11 people walked out during the film, with 9 leaving during just the opening scene alone. One person vomited during the screening. This wasn't a general audience screening. This was industry professionals, critics, and hardcore horror fans who specifically attended a premiere. The fact that even seasoned horror viewers couldn't handle the opening minutes shows how extreme Leon pushed the content. 14. Cinemas provided sick bags. UK cinemas started providing sick bags on every seat for Terrifier 3 screenings and posted warnings with trained first aid staff on site. This is extremely rare. Theatres don't typically prepare for audiences to become physically ill. Similar reactions happened in Australia and Chicago, with reports of fainting and ambulance calls. The film's reputation for causing physical reactions became part of its marketing. The more people reported getting sick, the more tickets sold. 15. The France ratings battle. France initially gave Terrifier 3 an 18+ rating with restrictions, which would have severely limited its theatrical release. After appeals and cuts, it was eventually released with warnings. However, the controversy generated massive media attention in France, making it one of the most talked about horror releases. The French rating board specifically cited the opening scene and the bedroom torture sequence as reasons for concern. This ratings battle happened across multiple countries, with each territory struggling to classify Terrifier film this extreme. 16. The custom blood formula development. Terrifier 3 used approximately 20 to 25 gallons of fake blood, more than most horror films use in their entire production. Damien Leone, who started as a special effects makeup artist, personally designs the blood formula. He works with veteran effects artists like Jason Baker and consultant Tom Savini, the godfather of gore, who did effects for Friday the 13th and Day of the Dead. The blood is mixed on site with attention to how it flows, splatters, and pulls under different lighting. Leone's goal is blood that doesn't look like movie blood. It looks uncomfortably real, triggering the same response as witnessing actual violence. 17. The bedroom scene took 5 days. The bedroom scene in Terrifier 2 took 5 full days to film. Director Damien Leone and producer Phil Falcone spent months during COVID lockdown in Falcone's basement developing the practical effects for this single scene. They built a life-size animatronic puppet of actress Casey Hartnett that required multiple operators using rods and tubing hidden under the set. The puppet had to breathe realistically, so operators controlled lung movements from beneath the bed. Leone added subtle digital effects, specifically animating the victim's blinking eyeball after scalping, to create what he calls a jarring realism effect that makes your brain reject what it's seeing. It was indeed very disturbing. 18. Real hacksaw, real danger. The hacksaw scene in Terrifier 1 used a real hacksaw on a practical dummy filled with actual animal organs from a butcher shop. Actress Catherine Corcoran could only stay inverted for about 42 seconds at a time before needing to rest due to safety concerns. The scene was filmed in a condemned building without proper stunt rigging, making it extremely dangerous. Between takes, Corcoran experienced severe dizziness and nausea. The final scene appears seamless, but it was actually dozens of 42-second takes stitched together. Leone studied how real torture works and realized showing 30 to 45 seconds of continuous violence forces viewers to confront suffering instead of letting imagination fill gaps. 19. The chainsaw scene homage. The Terrifier 3 opening shower scene is Leone's twisted homage to Hitchcock's Psycho. But taken to modern extremes with zero cutaways. Art uses a gas-powered chainsaw to kill 2 characters, Cole and Maya, cutting off fingers, nearly severing limbs, with relentless brutality while the camera stays fully on the carnage. Leone predicted the first 5 minutes would be divisive and acknowledged the scene's depraved nature. What makes it more disturbing is these are likable characters killed disrespectfully, proving no one is safe and no death will be dignified. 20. The practical effects team size. Despite the massive amount of gore, Terrifier films use relatively small practical effects teams, typically 3 to 5 core artists working on set. This is because Leone himself is a trained effects artist who personally oversees every kill sequence. The small team allows for creative control and consistency across scenes. Compare this to big budget horror films that might have 20 to 30 effects artists. Leone's hands-on approach keeps the gore feeling personal and crafted, rather than mass-produced. 21. Zero CGI philosophy. Damien Leone has a strict philosophy of using minimal CGI in Terrifier films. He estimates that 95% of the gore effects are practical, real prosthetics, real blood, real puppets. CGI is only used for subtle enhancements like removing safety wires, animating eyes, or adding small details that would be impossible practically. This commitment to practical effects is why the violence feels so visceral. Your brain recognizes it as physically real because it is physically real on set. Modern horror relies heavily on digital blood, but Leone believes practical effects create genuine audience reactions. 22. Art never speaks by design. Art the Clown has never spoken a single word across all 3 Terrifier films, the shorts, and Hallows' Eve. This is a deliberate creative choice by Damien Leone. Silent killers are inherently more disturbing because you can't rationalize their actions through dialogue or monologues. Art's silence forces audiences to project their own fears onto him. David Howard Thornton has said the silence makes Art more alien and unknowable. You can't negotiate with him, reason with him, or understand his motivations. 23. The mime background influence. David Howard Thornton studied mime and physical theatre extensively before playing Art. His background allows him to convey complex emotions and intentions purely through body language and facial expressions. Art's exaggerated gestures, the way he tips his hat, waves goodbye, or mime surprise, are all rooted in classical mime techniques, but Thornton subverts these friendly gestures by painting them with dead eyes and violent actions. This creates cognitive dissonance. Your brain sees friendly clown behaviour, but knows horrific violence is coming. 24. Art's supernatural abilities explained. Art the Clown is revealed to be supernatural across the franchise. In Terrifier 1, he appears to die but returns. In Terrifier 2, it's explicitly shown that Art is possessed by a demonic entity and cannot be killed by conventional means. he resurrects after being shot in the head. Terrifier 3 expands this mythology, showing Art's connection to demonic forces. This supernatural element separates Art from traditional slashers like Michael Myers or Jason. He's not just a human killer, he's a demon wearing a clown costume. This explains his seemingly unlimited stamina and ability to survive fatal injuries. 25. The Little Pale Girl Connection. The Little Pale Girl character appears throughout Terrifier 2 and 3 as Art's demonic companion. She's revealed to be the demonic spirit of a previous victim who now serves as Art's supernatural ally. Her presence indicates that Art's victims don't just die, their souls can be corrupted and enslaved. This adds a horrifying dimension to Art's kills. Death isn't an escape, it's potentially eternal damnation. The Little Pale Girl's unsettling appearance and silent communication with Art suggests a larger demonic hierarchy at work. 26. Art's weapon improvisation. Art the Clown never uses the same weapon twice in the same way. He improvises with whatever's available: hacksaws, scalpels, bleach, broken glass, medieval weapons, and even a gun shaped like a cartoon revolver. I guess you could say this makes it fun for him and why he's always so excited. This unpredictability makes every kill scene feel fresh and terrifying because you never know what's coming. Unlike slashers with signature weapons like Freddy's glove or Jason's machete, Art treats murder like performance art. Each kill is a unique creation, hence the name Art. His creativity with weapons shows intelligence and planning, making him more terrifying than mindless killers because Art really knows what he is doing. 27. The controversial child violence. Terrifier 3 features child deaths on screen, which is extremely rare in mainstream horror. The opening scene shows Art brutally killing a young boy, and later a young girl is murdered. This broke one of horror's unwritten rules. Children are typically off limits or killed off screen. Leon defeated this choice by saying Art doesn't discriminate, and showing him spare children would make him less terrifying. The MPAA and International Ratings Board specifically cited the child violence as a major concern. Many theaters warned parents that this wasn't a typical horror film, and children were not safe in this universe. 28. Terrifier 4 is confirmed. Damien Leone has confirmed that Terrifier 4 is in development and will be the final film in the franchise. He stated that there is a complete story arc planned for Art the Clown and Sienna Shaw that will conclude in the fourth film. Leone wants to end the franchise on his terms rather than running it into the ground with endless sequels. He's promised that Terrifier 4 will be the most extreme and conclusive entry, wrapping up all mythology and character arcs. Production timeline hasn't been announced, but Leone is currently writing the script. 29. The cultural impact on horror. Terrifier's success has fundamentally changed the horror industry's approach to extreme content. Major studios are now greenlighting hard R-rated horror films because Terrifier proved there's a massive audience for uncompromising gore. The franchise demonstrated that crowdfunding and independent distribution can compete with studio releases. Art the Clown has become a Halloween costume phenomenon, with thousands of people dressing as him annually. The franchise's financial success has inspired other indie horror creators to push boundaries and self-distribute rather than compromising for studio deals. And last but not least, fact number 30, the unrated release strategy. All three Terrifier films were released unrated rather than accepting an NC-17 rating from the MPAA. This was a strategic business decision, severe marketing restrictions, and many theaters won't show them. By releasing unrated, Leone maintained creative control and avoided the stigma of NC-17 while still signaling extreme content. This strategy worked because horror fans actively seek out unrated cuts. The unrated releases became a badge of honor, proof that the films were too extreme for the rating system. This approach has now become a blueprint for other extreme horror franchises. And there you have it, 30 disturbing facts about the Terrifier franchise that prove why Art the Clown has taken the horror world by absolute storm. In just 7 years, Art has gone from a low-budget short film character to one of the most iconic horror villains of the 21st century. So do me a favour and smash that like button to let me know you survived this video. And if you want more deep dives into serial killers, horror franchises, true crime, and the darkest corners of entertainment, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Drop a comment below and tell me what's the most disturbing Terrifier fact that shocked you, or if you've seen the films, which kill scene haunted you the most. I read every single comment and I love hearing your thoughts. I've got more horror content coming your way soon, including deep dives into other extreme horror franchises and real serial killers who make art look tame. So stick around, there's plenty more darkness to explore, and of course Dexter content for people who love that stuff too. Thank you for watching, stay safe out there, and remember, if you see a clown in a black and white costume, carrying a trash bag full of weapons, run.